From Viva Las Vegas, because we're living in Vegas, boo. And Vegas is real. Understand, when people make legislation here, then the teachers seem to act on it. I'm just confused. Why is that highly qualified doesn't mean highly qualified when you're dealing with the federal dollars? And why being at the bottom is a reality. So many people don't understand public education as it is mandatory. You're going to do what you got to do, because if you don't do what they tell you to do, well, they got something for you. They will take your children in a heartbeat. We have a 38% population of children of color, people who look like me, in the foster care system. And this is America. And I'm saying, well, what is the difference? What happened here? Because what is the difference? As we're still America and we're still living in America, and perhaps you don't understand that failure was never an option in the first place, but we have federal regulatory guidance, and it exists. And I don't understand how people just don't understand what that looks like, because it doesn't look like the letter grade of F. But when you have people who only understand from their perception, unwilling to listen to and stay away from you because they're uncomfortable, because they know what they know, but they don't know what you know. And in the year of 2025, failure was never an option. But for those of you who didn't understand, well, I say pimping ain't easy, but G-O-T and then D-A-M, somebody has to do it. Here we are, living in America, and my children did not fail public education. No, it was not that. My children all graduated. I see that it is problematic for so many people who don't understand that failure was never an option. And I do mean was never an option, was not thought about, did not talk about. Nobody was talking about the letter grade of F, because it just doesn't exist until it does. And nobody wants to talk about, how we have these tools. You see my cute shirt, and I'll show you my outfit. Let me turn around just a little bit as I put this together. Here we go. Hello. Doo-doo. And it is just a full dress and a t-shirt over top. And I'm sitting here in Las Vegas, where I understand that failure is not an option. Perhaps you don't understand the power in the letter grade of F and social promotion. And what is that? Well, for the people who look like me, the letter grade of F is never going to be accepted, not in the year of 2025, because failure is not an option until you allow it. But understand what I'm saying. We have, charter schools, and we have all different types of alternative educational programs. And what does it look like, and what does it feel like? But when you understand that in America, where it is mandatory that you participate in this process we call public education, that you have a right to understand what the outcomes are. So stay present. Live in the present, boo. I don't care what they've accepted in the past, as failure has never been an option. But what is it that you're doing to ensure that the people who look like you are adequately making it across the line, the finish line, because they're not making it. And the deal is that in a state where medical marijuana is just legal, and marijuana is legal, but understand in California, when they give you those pills to help you with your pain management, and I'm saying, when they wear off, it's more pain. Is it even relevant? So no, we don't do the pills anymore, but we certainly do the CBD, with a little bit of THC. God's manufactured remedy. And then when I'm looking at what's happening here, there are people who think that they got it. They got it, boo, because they got the hookup. But what about you, everyday citizen, who ain't making it? And I'm saying, unfortunately, failure is an option. But if you're going to join in on crucifying your own child because that child doesn't understand what the behavior norms are, well, how unfortunate. How unfortunate, because failure is never an option until you allow it to be an option. It's just like everything was going great and awesome until it wasn't. But then when it got to the point to where it wasn't doing great or awesome. And then when we don't understand is that why would you allow your child to be forced to participate in a program that would only document this dysfunction? And I'm saying, do you understand that we live in a nation, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty, and then that justice thing for all? But when the game has changed and we have an obligation to click and share and like, because we're controlling the narrative now. They're not running us. I have never waited to be told what to do. That's why I didn't listen to the Diddy shit. Didn't listen to but I damn sure did listen. Maybe. I don't know. Hello. Welcome on in. But I listened to the O.J. Simpson trial. And I was working at Los Rios Community College, Cosumnes River College branch then. And when they read the announcement that he was not guilty, you could hear the people across the campus cheering in jubilee. And I do mean jubilee, but you could see the facial expressions on the people who would have voted the other way. But if the glove didn't fit, they had to acquit. And that's kind of how it went down. Howdy, and welcome. Oh, Mellow 22. Hey, I'm Mellow too. I am 67 years old, and what I don't understand is how men out of the blue, especially those Nigerian men, will call me and tell me like they know me, and I'm saying, no, boo, you don't know me. And what do we have to even talk about? I talk about things like public education all the time. And my son said, Mom, it's too much. And I'm saying, no, you have to understand that this is the one thing that we're forced to deal with because it's 2022. And yes, all is well. Because we're just blessed and highly favored. And what does that look like and what does that feel like? Because pimping ain't easy, but hell, somebody's doing it every day. And I'm saying, failure is just not an option. So, what does it look like to you in America? As this is 2022, whose obligation is it to ensure adequacy for all? And when are you going to step up? Because unity doesn't exist in our community. And what they're braggadociously squalling about right now, they want everybody to do what? They want everybody to go on homeschool because, it's the easiest way for a state to rid itself of whatever. And the money will follow your child if there's money due. But if there's not, boo, you're going to pay the way. Do you know the way to San Jose? I'm going back one day. And it's just real if you're going to San Jose. If you never knew the way, it is 2025. And understanding that it is we the people, but what is we the people all about? I feel the education system is outdated and needs to be revamped. But hey, that's the power and what the Donald is talking about, or what Sheriff Joe Lombardo is talking about, school choice. Not just for those who've always had it, but school choice for those who understand they're entitled to it. Because if you understand you're entitled, guess what? Well, Luke, hello. Like I said, once you understand your entitlement, then you don't do without. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. Hey, you got to have something if you want to be with me. And that's just, hey, that's a song. And all those songs are creeping up in your head forever and a day. And guess what? We are living in the year of 2025. And, there's a couple of songs that I like. You know, I think it's Kenny Rogers. You better know when to hold 'em, but know when to fold 'em, and know when to walk away, but know when to run. You never count your money while you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting. I gotta close the gate. People come in and they don't close the door all the way. Lock the door too. Because it was locked. My son was coming. When he came in, he didn't follow the code. He just locked the door. Yeah. Now, because the AC kicks on in the back, and it just runs all the time. Have you ever heard of a little band, Feet? Yes, they sang some couple of songs that I really liked, but I don't know them offhand, but I do know when I hear them. And isn't it awesome that we can just go and find the music that we want to listen to and listen to it on YouTube or Spotify, and we have choice. But this thing that they're doing with the content that we create every single day, just sow more seed and reap the harvest. That's what I say. Because eventually, we're going to own all that. I mean, my content is my content. Just like when I purchase this goddamn phone. But it won't ring. Oh, what? If the purpose is for communication, I don't understand why it's not ringing. But when everybody has a foot on your neck, well, hell, you just can't breathe. Help me, I've fallen and I can't get up. I mean, that was a little commercial, wasn't it? And I'm just saying, this is America. And it is your choice to do what it is that you do every single day. And you can choose to go this way or you can choose to go that way, but it doesn't really matter. You're going to go one way or another. One way or another, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna get to one way. And that's a song and I don't even know enough of it to sing it. But knowing that you have to know that these are just tools. They're magnificent tools, because in the year of 2025, we can use these tools and we can determine which way we're gonna go. And when I say I'm going to the left, then goddamn, I'm going to the left. But if I'm going to the right, I'm going to the right. But just because I say I'm a Democrat doesn't mean shit until you get down into the nit-grit and realize that failure's not an option, and I'm not letting my child fail. So then we had to have all these assessments to determine what? The level of competency. And do you realize that competency pays on the football field? I mean, you hear the coaches talk about they pay them based on their competency. And I'm saying, Wow, what is that? I'm just saying that here we are living in America. And as an African American woman who is going to be 67 years old, where the hell is the data that demonstrates that the states have done the work? Because it's a choice, but it's a choice for the people who choose to show up. And so, because we have this house and field shit going on, and it's been going on forever and ever and ever and ever. And quite frankly, I mean, my sister married a lawyer, and that gave her some certain level of status. But believe me, the family that she married into, they weren't supportive of that marriage, and they weren't even supportive of the young man who pumped my sister with all the children and then walked away. But it really doesn't matter, because I'm going to tell you, the universe is just not kind to people who don't what? Follow up and do what they got to do. Because life is all about trials and tribulations. Trials and tribulations. Do you feel it? Because if you're going one way and you keep on getting all the block, oh no, it's not working out. Guess what, boo? You ain't doing something that you're supposed to be doing. So when you choose to move forward in a correct manner, it's kind of like everything flows to the whatever way it's got to go. And, there are so many good songs out there, even like Lean on Me When You're Not Strong. Said, I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, and it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean. That was Al Green, right? And then we had, we just have all these wonderful artists who are trying to figure out how they get their money. And then R. Kelly is sitting in the penitentiary. Why? Not because of his promiscuity, whatever it is. It wasn't because he was having sex. I didn't hear what he did, but I certainly heard what them babies was doing in his residence. And I said, well, damn, what happened to their parents? I didn't see their parents. Did you see their parents come in? I didn't see shit. I heard where the parents thought that they should get some money because he was making money. And quite frankly, R. Kelly's trial was all about the money. Just a little bit of money, honey. Because in the end, right before they sentenced him, I can't even say the word, sentenced him to the 30 years. Well, make sure you lock it. Going to get something to eat. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm just saying, this Diddy shit is about the same way. And for black people, y'all people must need to follow somebody because everybody seems to be jumping on board. I can't jump on board with the Diddy shit. No, because homegirl was getting her rent paid. Ain't nobody paying my rent over here. I'm paying my own goddamn rent. She was afraid to lose her business transactions. And I'm saying, oh, fuck no. No, what are we supposed to do? As black, she wasn't black girl. She wasn't Chocolatto. And she then moved on and got another man in her life. And what kind of sympathy are we supposed to show this chick? I don't know. Because guess what? She had a choice, as we all do. And I never would have ended up in that situation. So therefore, no, my girlfriend got kind of pissed at me because I don't have no sympathy. I didn't have no sympathy for the people who ended up with Bill Cosby's child. I mean, the whole thing is that it is real. Well, people would choose to go down a pathway over here, and then they want your protection or your allegiance or what. Do you not know that gossip is just a sin? And so they tell all the salacious details about this shit that they was in so that they can do what? Get you to what? Because we live under this trial by jury thing. And enough is enough. As this is 2025 and we can't talk about the failing situations of mandatory public schools and how many children are in the juvenile facility, But how many children need mental health situations? And then they're talking about doing AI for mental health. And I'm saying, well, goddamn, you gonna have a computer telling you something about you because it thinks it knows everything, but no, it don't know shit. It only knows what you're allowing it to know. And this is some insane shit. But because they have teachers, 18 years old, right here in Viva, lock the door, please. Teachers teaching at the age of 18. And I said, I don't know what they teaching because they ain't got no highly qualified skills. And when they don't demonstrate a maintenance of effort, meaning they don't got no data anywhere, and they thought that they could keep that federal money, well, this is the first time they're going to find out that the federal government could just pull all that money, and it just might happen. Why might it happen? Because there's a Republican in office. And if y'all chose to pony up and steal, well, guess what? It's going to happen. They're going to be forced to show you what America is really about. And it's equal access, equal participation, and equal equality and whatever. And even if you never believed in the Pledge of Allegiance of the United States of America, boo, that's the only thing you ever learned. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for who? Well, certainly not for you when they tell you got breast cancer and you can't do nothing about it. You accept the word. They go snip, snip, snip. And guess what? They never found any cancer. And guess what? It doesn't really matter. You just short one. So it is what it is. Yeah, you didn't have to close the screen door. But that's good. Thank you. In America, the truth of the matter is, who are you and what is it that you do in the year of 2025? And if you've never done anything, including, not limited to, just voting, well, hell, if you don't show up at the community meetings, understand it is what they decide during the meeting that's going to happen. Highly qualified, and the federal regulatory guidance for people who accept that Title I money is still the same, 30, 60, 90 days into the school year. It's supposed to have this single plan for student achievement, and it's supposed to be monitored, and it's supposed to have community engagement. But hell, y'all don't even know what community engagement is. No, because you're telling me that 18-year-olds are in the classroom with your teenage child. And I'm saying, how could you just get out of high school one day and the next day become the teacher? Hello. And I'm just saying, you people, what can I say? It didn't happen for me and mine, but obviously it happens when people don't understand that there are rules and regulatory guidance. But when we're violating the rules and they say, well, we're all violating the rules, and yes, we are. But it's up to you to determine if you're going to allow your child to be abused. And abuse is not what I stand for. So therefore, I filed a complaint against the state of Nevada. For what? Because they don't have no 30, 60, 90 days into the new school year. I think they're working feverishly now to try to document what they've been doing, because they ain't never documented shit. Oh well. Reality check. This is 2025. And fair is not an option. And as fair is not an option, I can talk about early access to public education, because, they figured out the cornerstones. So at the age of 7, you have to file this intent to where you're going to do with your children at the age of 7, because Nevada picked the age of 7. But, the Biden-Harris administration said by the age of 3, all 3-year-olds would be enrolled in that early educational program in the year of 2024. And if the federal government said that's how you're going to get your money, then guess what? Wake up and get that money, because it's a reality. It doesn't come from failure, boo. It comes from what you allow. My children did not fail. My children are not over there burdening the system over there, as incarceration is real. Here we go. In America, know that we don't always know how to come together, but we've not selected how we come together as a nation. And when there's a place that has been selected for gathering, like, the churches used to do the gathering, they don't necessarily do too much. But quite frankly, this is the world that I live in. And failure should not be an option. But in a state where people who look like you aren't making it, and then the people who look like you with money aren't saying anything, well, who's going to step up? So I said I would. I don't have a problem, as failure's just never been an option. But after high school, how many of our children are actually becoming employed? And since all of these jobs are gaining artificial intelligence and they're upgrading their, buildings and space, so they don't have to deal with people who look like you. And I'm saying, well, when you don't even have people in your own community who look like you that are providing services, and your children are failing, and in Nevada, only 14% of the population are doing what? Scoring at or above the 40th percentile. So just because your children are doing it doesn't mean all children are doing it. And for those who don't have the ability to speak up, then we should all speak up for them. As Pimpin' Ain't Easy. Well, damn, who is going to do it? And it might as well be you. But I say thank you all for coming in and chilling with me. But I really want you to get out there and go to my podcast. It's over there on Spotify. It's called Parent Empowerment Half an Hour on Spotify. Or you guys can just check me out, Citizen Anderson on Podbean, because I used to do these Zoom, come on in Zoom, and I paid for Zoom. And I'll tell you, it was an awesome experience until I got here. And when I got here, then the network administrator started determining if I could share my show or what would happen. And I'm saying, oh no, do you understand? I know how it works. And I should be able to share my screen. But when I'm paying you money so that I can use the tool, and you're prohibiting me from using the tool, I'm saying, oh, that's all, hell no. Hell no to the no. And everybody's got to say hell no, because you're not going to do that. Because the cloud demonstrates what? Fault tolerance. So anything you do to me is going to be listed in that cloud that you did it to me. So you might as well get off my back and stop tripping, because life is not easy. It's just what it is. But until we meet again, Bill, I'll say like, subscribe, and share. And y'all have a very blessed day. Have a blessed day now.